I got nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome out to the field house at Crimson Cliffs. Ben Lindquist here on the Fan Sports Network with none other than the coach, Casey Winters.
Battle of the Mustangs tonight. Got the Mountain Crest Mustangs coming down from Cache Valley here at the field house with the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs. Should be a good matchup to kick off the 4A state playoffs.
Well, and Casey, I'm curious. When was the last time you saw a matchup between two schools with the same mascot?
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
In fact, I'm no uniform guru, but as I look down, I think they actually have the same uniforms.
Yes,
just obviously different colors.
I think you're exactly right now that you mentioned it.
And so we've got a great matchup. This is the first round of the 4A state playoffs, and we have the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs, who had a great win to finish the season, Casey, against Dixie at home on senior night.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Crimson Cliffs carries that momentum. That was a huge win, dominating fashion against the Flyers last Friday night. And, you know, coaches, teams always talk about peaking at the right time, right? You want to be playing your best basketball as the playoffs begin. And I think what we saw from the Mustangs Friday night was their best game of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see if they pick up where they left off on Friday night.
And we're going to have to be real careful about the term Mustangs tonight.
Yes, we are.
We're going to have to be pretty specific. But talk to us a little bit about the visiting team, Mountain Crest, who made the trip, I'm told, yesterday down from Logan. That's not an easy, it's not an easy bus ride. But as a coach, making that trip, how do you prepare the guys?
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. I mean, they played Friday night. You know, you get a couple days in. No school on Monday, so that throws another kink in things. But they came down. They actually were up in nets on fire, shooting around a little bit today. Got some shots up. I think just trying to get their legs underneath them. I think the key is, especially if I'm Mountain Crest coach, I saw what Crimson Cliffs did the other night. I'm just going to try to get off to a hot start and get them back on their heels and make them react to us. You know, when you look at Mountain Crest, you know, they're not great, right, as far as their record goes. Looking back at some of their scores, they've been in some games, you know, in a really tough region up there. But you never know. I mean, it's that win or go home mentality. You know, they didn't come down here to lose, so I expect a great effort from Mountain Crest tonight to try to put Crimson Cliffs on the ropes and maybe sneak one out here in the first round.
Well, and you touched upon something that's pretty interesting, because they don't have to, Mountain Crest doesn't have to beat Crimson 10 times, right? They just have to get one, and it's the same thing at the state tournament. You only have to beat that one team one time. And all the records almost get thrown out, especially, you know, if you're talking about Mountain Crest, who didn't have, from a win standpoint, probably the type of season that they'd hoped. I think 1-9 in region play, didn't hit double digits in victories for the season. So they're telling themselves they probably just have to get one tonight,
yeah,
right?
Just one game. And I think you can look back in the record books and brackets from years past, and you always see that one game, whether it's the NCAA tournament, high school basketball, you find that one game that someone just surprises you. And I mean, Mountain Crest obviously wants to do that tonight. I really like this side of the bracket. I mean, obviously you do have Skyview on this side of the bracket, but you got Snow Canyon. I mean, this is shaping up to be an interesting tournament, and we'll obviously learn a lot tonight with, you know, what, 4, 5 games going on tonight. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the bracket shapes up for Thursday. And the other interesting thing, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but whoever wins tonight has to drive to Logan tomorrow and get ready to play early on Thursday. And so this tournament, I mean, it's all done in 4 days. And so, you know, with the weather not going to be great, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, not only tonight, but beyond tonight, Thursday, Friday, Saturday up in Cache Valley.
Well, I don't want to correct you, but Casey, if Crimson wins, both teams have to drive back to Logan tomorrow.
Exactly. If they can share a bus, I don't know.
Yeah. And look, this is one of those things where late in the season, you know, if I recall, Mountain Crest actually was up on Skyview, up on Ridgeline, so they can play with anybody. And of course, we've seen what Crimson Cliffs can do there at the last game of the season, and that third place in Region 10. Again, you're on the Fan Sports Network. You found the right spot. We're going to have all the action with our studio producer, Dusty. We've got CC back in the Fan Sports Network studio. And as we continue the Boulevard Game of the Week, let's get down to it. We talked about a couple of the points, but let's get to the Findlay Subaru pregame keys of the game. Of course, keys of the game brought to you by the good folks at Findlay Subaru, where they work hard to be active in the community and have received the 2022, probably didn't know this, Casey, Subaru Love Promise Customer and Community Commitment Award. They don't just give those out. Come reserve your new Subaru at Findlay Subaru on the saving side of the freeway.
There we go.
So, Mountain Crest, give us the 2 keys that they've got to execute on to walk home and to the bus for victory.
I mean, just at first glance, they've got to be able to handle Crimson's size, specifically on the boards. That's one thing that Crimson's done well all year long, is they've attacked the offensive glass and created extra opportunities for themselves. So I think that's a huge key. And then, you know, as you look through their stats, their balanced scoring, and they have a lot of guys in that 6, 8, 10 range. I think if you can get 3 or 4 guys into double figures, it's going to be huge for the Mountain Crest Mustangs to pull off an upset here tonight.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about those late game leads that they had against those 2 top-tier teams in Skyview and Ridgeline. Tell me about the Crimson Cliffs. Obviously, you know, you had a chance to. You've seen a Jordan Eaton for, this is the 4th year. You had a chance to coach him for 3 of those years. We saw them beat Dixie. We saw them beat Snow Canyon. What are the keys for them tonight?
I think rely on your defense. And you've mentioned a lot, you've called a lot of the Crimson games this season. They are a good team, defensive team. I mean, they play hard, they're long, they rebound well. So I think for them, it's relying on that defense to shut down Mountain Crest early, make them realize it's going to be difficult all night long for them, and then use your size. I mean, I'm really interested to see that how much we give the Houston, Jordan, Phoenix, Sean lineup with either a Scoop or a Drake, because there's going to be a mismatch somewhere on the court. And I think if Crimson can take advantage of those, and then obviously if you have Still Barbin shooting like he did the other night, the Mustangs are going to be tough to beat here at home.
Maybe his best offensive performance of his career.
Absolutely.
At a great time to get the victory on senior night. A junior doing it for the seniors. Yeah, and as you talked about the size, you know, obviously this is the first Mountain Crest game that we've called. I believe they beat Pineview early in the season. And Pineview, of course, has picked up some steam themselves. But as you look down there, I'm just, according to the roster, the biggest guy is 6'6". You look over at Crimson Cliffs.
Four of them. And
they've got 4 of them. And of those 4 guys, they're all pretty dang athletic. And one of them, by the way, is Sean Felt, who 6'8". Is he 6'8",
yeah,
6'9"?
No, I mean, I mean, Houston right there. So, I mean, those guys, obviously, we talked about using their height and their size on the offensive end is an advantage. I think defensively, that's where I think, especially when you talk about Sean, that's where he causes a lot of problems. I mean, you've seen it against Kyle Lemke, 2 matchups in a row. Just altering shots, blocking shots. So expect him to wreak some havoc on this Mountain Crest offense tonight by changing shots and making it difficult for them to score in the paint.
Well, and one of the things that you pointed out early in the before we got on air was the leading scorer for Mountain Crest is only at 11.9. Kind of an interesting leading scorer, which what does that tell you as a coach?
I mean, if I'm looking at it, the first thing that's going to stand out is if I can hold that guy under his average, and everybody for that matter, we're going to be in good shape. What we don't want to do is let an 11-point scorer score 25 tonight, or a 6-point scorer go off for 15. And so for us, we know who their best player is. Let's shut him down. Make someone else beat us.
Love it. Well, we've got about a minute 20 left before tip-off. Not sure if we're going to see the junior ROTC squad tonight for the national anthem, but we'll certainly have the jump ball, which is brought to you by one of our great sponsors, Udi and Associates, your local American Family Insurance right here in St. George. And I always like to ask this. We've got our House of Jump dunk tonight. Now, of course, if we have a dunk, you get that free 1 hour. All you got to do is text dunk to 833-644-2423. Right after that dunk, you'll get 1 hour of free jump from the good folks at House of Jump. So here's my question for you, Coach. Over under 1, 2 dunks tonight, 0. You gonna take the over? How about 2 is the over under? You take an over?
I'll take the over. I mean, I'm calling one for Houston, Phoenix, and Big Sean tonight.
Okay, he's not just going over, he's going to 3. Okay, well, we will check back in to see if that happens. We'll take a quick pause here as we tune in to the national anthem.
Need an appliance or two? AWP's got you. Check out the remodeled expansive showroom, highlighting the Cafe series with colors like matte black, matte white, and modern glass. Make your kitchen stand out. Come see the local boys at AWP across the freeway from the Bloomington Walmart.
Check out this week's edition of TGIF on stgeorgenews.com. TGIF is your weekend adventure guide to all the fun and exciting things going on in southern Utah this weekend. Find this week's edition at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Have a blast this weekend.
Region 10 Sports is brought to you by Nets on Fire, the premier training and event facility in southern Utah. High-level individual and group training catered to your athlete, plus the best camps, clinics, tournaments, and showcases in the West. Visit netsonfire.org.
Did you know that St. George News has a new app? Download the St. George News app today and stay up to date on everything happening in southern Utah. Get instant notifications on news, weather, sports, and more. Download the app today and get your local news now.
Hey, it's Sheldon Demke. Check out the latest episode of What's on the Menu, a behind-the-scenes tour of local restaurants. We'll see some of their favorite dishes and get an inside look on how these dishes are prepared. Check out this week's episode at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab.
Adams Wealth Advisory is a financial planning firm that is combined with an investment firm to provide the best possible outcomes for our clients.
I always believe if you're intentional with your financial plan, things are going to work out really well for you.
Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today.
Asphalt. It's not something we think about much, except when it's in bad shape. At Holbrook Asphalt, we help cities, HOAs, and businesses avoid replacing painfully expensive roads and parking lots. To avoid the cost of replacing asphalt, you must effectively preserve it while it's still in good condition. University research has shown Holbrook Asphalt's HA5 slows asphalt aging by 67%. We make your pavement assets last longer, cost less to own, all while achieving higher property values. Visit HolbrookAsphalt.com to discover more.
I'm Aaron Crane, host of the Region 10 Recap. Want to relive the highlights of the game? Look for the Region 10 Recap every week. Just follow St. George News on Facebook or go to stgeorgenews.com.
And we're back right here on the Fan Sports Network, where we are going to be providing updates all night, of course, through the Nets on Fire scoreboard about Region 10. But also, our man CC back in the studio is going to be doing some pop-ins and outs. So we'll have you not only on the stream all night, but we'll also have every one of the games on the Fan Sports Network on 99.5, 95.3, or if you're up in Cedar City, of course, you can catch us up there on 1400 and 93.1. So we're excited. We got the starting lineups. These are also brought to you by the House of Jump, where again, Coach is predicting 3 slam dunks tonight. I'm going to hold him to that. He might be right. This is one of those games where certainly the energy and emotion from a dunk can ignite them. Sean Feltz had that dunk against Dixie that kind of shifted the momentum early in that first half. As we head to the starting lineups, we've got the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs, who will be starting Scoop Johnson. You had a chance to see him in the program. Jordan Eaton, who I still remember you brought up as a freshman. He got some pretty significant minutes off the bench as a freshman. Tell me about Jordan Eaton.
Yeah, I mean, he's the heart and soul of this program. I mean, significant minutes, by far the most experienced player, but just leads by how hard he plays with a lot of emotion. I expect him to play really, really well tonight. I know he wants it bad, so expect him to lead this Crimson Cliffs teams on both ends of the floor tonight.
Of course, Jordan coming in at just under a tick of 20 points per game, but certainly a guy that can go get you 30.
Yeah, and then he's going to throw a couple steals. He's going to throw some 10, 12 rebounds in there as well. The thing that Jordan's done really well is he's expanded his game a little bit. You know, before, early on, freshman, sophomore year was all interior, 10, 12 feet. He's shooting it well from the three-point line. Free throws have improved, so he's a 3-level scorer and has been all season.
Yeah, he's got a great release, certainly gets enough rotation on it. It's funny, I've talked to his dad. I had a chance to play with his dad years ago, like 25 years ago. And I've seen some pictures of his shot in really strange places, but at release, he does a really good job of getting it in the right spot. And then rounding out that starting lineup, of course, is Phoenix McWillis, Still Barbin, and Houston Johnson. The Mountain Crest squad will be starting Oliver Nethercoat and Caden Hess, Ray Robbins, and we also got Mr. Hunter Pugmire. Of course, I played with the Pugmire. He kind of looks like his dad. I'm going to be searching the stands to see if his dad is up there. Played with a Nate Pugmire. I wonder if that's him. And here we go, jump ball to start us off. Round 1 of the 4A state playoffs. Crimson will get the tip. Scoop Johnson out front. What do you like to do out of these sets? You like to, is that, well?
I don't know if that was good, but that's on cue. Houston shoots a 3, comes off the backboard, and Scoop Johnson's right there for the rebound for a quick 2-0. Oh, here we go. First dunk right now. Bang! Took a whole 24 seconds. Get your house of jump right now, folks.
I'll tell you what. The coach was right. Text 833-644-2423 and text dunk, and you will get 1 hour of free jump at the House of Jump. Take the kids, and as Devin says, let them jump off the walls. I'll tell you what, I looked over at Coach Fairborn, Casey, and after that air ball 3-pointer off the glass, as Mountain Crest does the same thing, he was just like, what? But then you get the offensive rebound, and then he comes up, gets the steal, and makes up for it.
Yeah, if I'm Mountain Crest, this is already trending in the wrong direction. I mean, we've got 1 shot off. They got 2 fast break layups, and you can see Crimson and Coach Fairborn, they're just going to try to overwhelm Mountain Crest. They're out denying the passing lanes. They're getting after it defensively. And then looks like we got an offensive foul.
Looks like a moving screen on Scoop Johnson. You don't see a lot of the moving screens in the NBA. Of course, you see it quite frequently. If you got 6'8", 6'9", 7-footers setting screens. But an early offensive a turnover there for Crimson. They really did a good job, Casey, in that Dixie game of limiting those turnovers. And as you said, it looks so far like this is at Crimson's pace.
Yeah, I mean, that was a wide open 3 right there by Rigdon Anderson. Just came off the back iron. But a good shot for Mountain Crest there. Let's see if they can settle in offensively.
And it looks like we've got a foul on.
Looks like number 4, Rigdon Anderson, reaching in on Jordan Eaton there at the high post.
And that's hard not to do because Big Jordan just creates contact.
He does. He does. And it's been mentioned several times throughout this season that, you know, he's a basketball player trapped in a football player's body out here doing the best he can. And he does pretty well at it, but definitely demands and creates a lot of contact.
And we've got our second turnover of the night, and that's certainly something that the Crimson, I almost said just the Mustangs, but the Crimson Cliff Mustangs are going to want to be really careful of. Ball inside to the big fella, Caden Hess.
And a nice,
Pugmire, yeah, looks like
nice
Pugmire gets the score there for 2 on a good rebound. And so what looked like some early momentum has turned into another turnover.
Yeah,
that's number 3.
3 in a row. And I think if you would talk to Coach Fairborn and ask him the one thing that he wants his team to clean up, it's got to be turnovers, especially as you advance deep into a state tournament. Those turnovers just kill you. So it's important that, you know, Crimson Cliffs takes care of the ball.
Well, and just like that, we have a 4-4 game with 5:20 left as Ray Robbins just goes all the way from left to right and lays it easily off the glass. Almost no contest in there.
Jordan Eaton for 3, a little long. Oh.
And good hustle by number 24, Pugmire, but just momentum carrying him out of bounds there. And it felt like Crimson might just end this thing in the first quarter. Suddenly we've got a 4-4 tie, and Crimson looking to get a wide open shot here in the corner by Scoop Johnson. Rotation looks good. It looked like a good release. He thought maybe it was in just a hair short.
Yeah, and you can tell already, I mean, not bad shots by Crimson Cliffs, but let's get it to Jordan on the block. Let's get it to Houston on the block. Let's get some curls to the basket and create some easy opportunities, just like we scored our first 4 points on layups and a dunk.
Yeah, and it looks like Mountain Crest really trying to take the ball inside at this point. Jordan Eaton comes down with the rebound, leading the break, finds Scoop over on the right, who's going to attack, and soft floater for 2.
Nice finish there by Scoop.
And he's got 4. He had a pretty solid game, but as we mentioned, Steele Barbin against Dixie last Friday night was the hot hand. Scoop trying to make his impact early. Again, you can tell early on, it looks like they're trying to really get that ball inside after a couple of long 3-pointers. And I really think this is where Crimson's at their best, is out in transition.
Yeah, they're great in transition. I mean, they got lots of guys that can attack the basket, absorb some contact. And then you do have the few shooters trailing behind that if you get deep and don't have a bucket, you can kick it out to a shooter.
Pugmire looks like he's pretty comfortable down there, but
nice
I think
block by Phoenix McWillis.
And Phoenix is sneaky on the block.
Yeah.
Is he not, Coach?
And Pugmire's just working. I mean, 3 offensive rebounds right there for a putback. Looks like Steele Barbin might have taken an elbow on one of those offensive rebounds. A little slow to get up.
Let's see if we can go to the replay here. Dusty's got us the whole book.
Oh, yeah, maybe a headbutt.
Yeah, maybe that, or a shoulder. Back right shoulder, just kind of leaning in. And as he jumped back, looks like he got Steele Barbin. And that's the nice thing about football, is you at least have a face mask on for that, Coach.
Yeah. But you can tell, I mean, Pugmire's been the bright spot for the Mountain Crest Mustangs here, doing some dirty work on the glass and getting some putbacks, keeping his team in it.
And it looked like it still rejects the screen, that he thought he might get a little contact there. So just like that, we have a 6-6 ball game with just over 3 minutes left. I don't know if momentum has been established yet.
No, I think, I mean, there's still the nerves, you know, of a playoff game.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you lose, you go home, right?
Yeah, and so I think that's some of those turnovers that we've seen, or maybe some of those shots that are a little off target, probably more nerves than anything.
And you can see as we head down to the shot clock, probably going to get a charge there. And a great job by Scoop Johnson. He leaned in there and established. That's always such a hard call, but we've got.
Yeah, I think Scoop was there.
Yeah, that's
was
the
there in
video
plenty
evidence.
of time. That was a great defensive play, and changes momentum. We talk about all the time. Not only does it take away a potential bucket, but it also, you know, gets a foul on one of their better players. I believe that's actually 2 on number 4, Rigdon Anderson. So already a starter to the bench for the Mountain Crest Mustangs here in the first quarter.
And Scoop Johnson will attack baseline, look for a cutting Jordan.
Great cut by Jordan.
Great basket cut. You just don't see that enough in high school basketball, do you?
Yeah, and that's something that Coach Fairborn, I think, is part of his system, where if there's a player that drives baseline, the opposite wing is automatically cutting to put that help defense in a vulnerable position.
And a little bit of that team defense that you talked about on display as we see Jay Sweeten come in along with Drake Carroll, and it looks like he's going to go to the bench one more time. Why not do 2 and make it 3 with Sean Feltz, the big fella, taking Britton Johnson's boy, Houston, out of the game.
I'm sure.
And why not go 4? Now we've got another sub, Trevor Taylor here for Scoop Johnson. So.
Well, I know Coach mentioned, I heard him on the radio the other night, that some of his guys are still battling some sickness and having to play 3 games in 3 days. If you do win this one, maybe it's good to, give some guys a little bit of a break earlier than normal and let these other guys get some playoff experience before we get up to the Spectrum at Utah State. And so I like what Coach Fairborn's doing right here.
Yeah, this is and of course Drake Carroll's been really solid off the bench. And Sean Feltz has been our Jersey Mike sub of the game a couple of times. Early penetration, another basket cut by Jay Sweeten. Mid-range jumper to Sean Feltz. He said, give me it Mike's way one more time, Ben and Coach. And just like that, it's a 10-6, a little bit of the momentum shifting back as Sean Feltz hits that jumper. Not the most fundamental release, but somehow he goes in a lot more than it misses.
Yeah, and he's got soft touch, so even if it is a little off target, he's got some friendly rolls, but he's you can tell he shot it a lot because he's not afraid to put it up.
And sometimes that's just it. I always think in golf, there's so many ways to actually drop that club into the slot and hit the ball at impact. Sometimes it doesn't matter, as long as you can get it in there when it matters.
Just get it there, and yeah, Big Sean, he's definitely, as you look at where he's grown, I think just his overall physicality and intensity, but he's a scoring threat. When he gets the ball in that, 8-10 foot range, he's a threat.
And Mountain Crest Caden Hess knocks down both of those free throws and pretty much touched all parts of the rim as well.
Yeah, and we're 2-point game with 1:24 left. I think if you would have asked after the first minute or so what this game was going to be like, I think we would have thought it maybe was going to be a little bit different.
Jordan Eaton in for the mid-range jumper, probably hoping for a little bit of contact, as it looks like Trevor Taylor catches an elbow and thought maybe the ref could have seen that too. But Caden Hess even turned around and kind of looked at him like, hey, ooh, and this is the beauty of replay right here on the Fan Sports Network, is Dusty's going to let us know, did Mr. Feltz?
Yeah, I think he did. I mean, that's one we would have called an early morning ball up at Nets on Fire. So, but
speaking of Nets on Fire, Coach, we can kind of go around the region a little bit. We had some girls action. It looks like Hurricane lost to Ridgeline 66-44. And as we go to some of the girls' games, that was, of course, our boys. Desert Hills ends up winning the girls, the Lady Thunder, 45-35. And over at Dixie, they're up 31-17 over Crimson in girls basketball.
Yeah, we got some interregion matchups, which some coaches like, some coaches don't like. They prefer to play someone else, but yeah, lots of action going on. I know we got Pineview up at Layton Christian. We got Hurricane that you mentioned up in Cache Valley. We got 3 games going on here in town. So lots of action going on tonight.
Lots of games right here on the Fan Sports Network. And we'll be bringing them to you all night and all weekend as well as we hit the road, probably having to go tomorrow and beat that Storm for the 4A state championship up there in Logan, Utah at the Spectrum.
I think everyone's expecting a great tournament. I mean, you think of the tournament we had last year down here at the Burns Arena. Awesome game between Skyview and Snow Canyon. Great championship game between Dixie and Snow Canyon. I fully expect it to be similar up there in Logan this year.
Yeah, certainly going to be, as we head to the last year of having only 14 teams in 4A before they go into 20 plus. As another great move by off the bench, actually, Trevor Leisure.
Yeah, just like that, Mountain Crest has a 2-point lead here at the end of the first quarter.
And it looks like Coach Fairborn and the Mustangs from Crimson are going to try and get a last shot here. A little block-to-block action to the high-low. Shot by Jordan, and that's his sweet spot.
Yeah, that is. That 12, 15-foot range, that's automatic for Jordan.
And this looks to be an air ball, and it is, yeah, trying to get that off at the last second. And the crowd will let them know. We'll take a quick break as we head to the second quarter, up 12-12 for the Mustangs. Easy to say.
There you go. Nothing's been decided yet.
Create your own relaxing, comfortable space. Boulevard Home offers the guaranteed best prices on furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more. And buy with no interest financing. Shop Boulevard Home, because home is who we are.
We know it takes an entire community to make Southern Utah thrive. You will see us on the fields, on the courts, at festivals, and in the schools, and everywhere in between. From Southern Utah's Auto Mall, we help you create memories that bolster joy in our community. It's the reason why we've got it made in Southern Utah and why you've got it made at Stephen Wade.
And we are back in the field house of Crimson Cliffs, right below the cliffs. And what a beautiful, beautiful high school out here, right below those. Just when the sun hits them, when it sets out there, Casey, you probably as a coach and a teacher here for years got to walk out and see that every night. What a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's as picturesque as anywhere. You got Pine Valley on one side, you got the Red Cliffs on the other side. Beautiful campus, beautiful gym. Definitely a beautiful school here down in Washington County. And yeah, a little bit more people trickling here tonight. Definitely not a Region 10 crowd, but still. Oh, here we go, number 2, baby.
This is one for.
Houston Johnson with number 2.
Houston, we do not have a problem at 2 dunks in the first half, and Casey, the coach, must have known something because he has hit the magic number with 1 to go, and right out of the you can't say enough about his length as he disrupts that shot and gets out into transition again.
And the thing I loved about that dunk was he went hard. I think he actually got fouled.
I think so too.
But that's one maybe he would have laid up before, and now he's going through contact. I love the refs are letting him play a little bit, letting him play through contact. There's Phoenix.
Oh my. Again, this is the beauty of being able to have replay here. As Dusty's going to dial this thing up.
I thought Phoenix had a clean block there, but apparently maybe a little.
That's pretty clean to me. And he's gotten away with so many of those this year.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one.
That's always hard. But, as the kids would say, maybe the ball doesn't lie if he misses this one. I never liked that term. I don't believe in any of that. But
yeah,
I thought a great defensive play there. And I was about to say that might be our Morgan Pest Control defensive play of the game.
Yeah, very well could have been if the ref would have held off on that whistle just a little longer. One free throw here. We got Crimson up by 1 with 7 minutes left, and it's gonna be interesting to see who seizes some momentum here and maybe goes on a little run here in the second quarter.
Well, we've got a good one so far. I mean, I think you always want to be able to call a good game. You never like the 30-point blowout, but certainly a sequence of events where they get some momentum, and now Mountain Crest gets momentum. And it's gone back and forth so far, so nice as Scoop comes in there from the left side, a little baby turnaround jumper. And he's got 6 really quick of the Crimson 16 points.
16, yeah, played really well so far. And he always is so active on the defensive end, tips and steals. It's good to see him contribute on the offensive end as well.
Long three-pointer.
Oliver Nethercoat, the Mustangs' leading scorer, hits a deep 3.
Kind of crazy to think about. He's really only 9 points away from his season average. With a stroke like that, hard to believe he doesn't get to 16,
more of
17. And this is where I've always struggled as a player. It's like the questionable, block down here. That one looked like there was maybe a little more contact, but I'm with you. I like the idea of them being able to play.
Yeah, still out of bounds. Mustangs ball. Great drive by Scoop right there. Just a nice recovery by the Mountain Crest defense there to get a hand on it.
Soft floater from Still Barbin, again, who had that big night last Friday. And it's an 18-16 point game as Houston gets a nice block there.
And I think this is where, if I'm the Mustangs, and maybe, you know, Coach Fairborn burns a timeout here and just gets into his team and says, hey, it's a 2-point game. Let's make it a 15-point game in the next 6 minutes and see if we can go on a little run here, create some separation, and really show Mountain Crest who we are.
And so far, I love the defensive intensity and pressure. It just goes to show you they're so good on ball as a team.
Yeah, they're long, they're quick, they're athletic. Good hustle by Steele Barban there to track down that offensive board.
Still collects that. Scoop brings it up on the right side, turns over to Coach Fairborn, over to Jordan Eaton. And I like this matchup here with the screen of those two because that creates a mismatch for sure. And this is something where, you know, Crimson has struggled a little bit with ball movement up until the last parts of the season where they kind of figured things out a little bit.
Oh,
and I'll tell you what, as he swoops in, that's Ray Robbins swooping in. Looked like he just, okay. Pugmire says, well, look, if you're not going to call the foul down here, well, let's slow this thing down before Houston Johnson gets another slam dunk.
Yeah, and here's that timeout by Coach Fairborn. Maybe settle the troops, drop a play. Let's try to extend this lead a little bit right here.
Yeah, and I think a great call. We'll take the break with them. We'll take a quick one and be right back here in the field house.
Utah is growing, and we're growing too. What started on the U of U campus has grown to over 110,000 members with 20 locations, and we're ready to meet even more of you. More than a campus or a branch, we are Utah's teachers, businesses, and families. For over 65 years, we've been part of your community, and while our name is changing, our commitment to you is not. University Credit Union is now You First Credit Union. See why it's getting even better here. Welcome to You First.
Okay, we're back after a quick break right here on the Fan Sports Network. And we've got a good one with 5:06 left in the second. Crimson Cliffs 18, Mountain Crest Mustangs 16, and Steele Barban will bring it into Scoop Johnson. And Coach mentioned it, that timeout. Looking for a drawn-up play here. Who do you go to?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go a little ball screen with Phoenix McWillis and Houston Johnson. Nothing off the initial action. Still plenty of time on the shot clock, though. Let's see what the Mustangs can get here to get a good quality offensive possession.
Houston will take it inside, and that's got to be a foul. And it is maybe a little late, but gave him the and one.
Yeah.
And Mr. Johnson will make it 6 with a chance to turn it to 7. And so far, what do you see from Houston?
I love this for Houston. I think sometimes we talk a lot about Jordan Eaton and we talk a lot about Phoenix McWillis, and I think Houston's kind of that X factor where if he can come and impact things on the defensive end like he has tonight and get a couple dunks and maybe get to the free throw line and get into that double-digit scoring, he makes the Mustangs that much tougher to beat.
Yeah, and as we see, he misses the front of, actually not the front, but the and one opportunity there of our Fabulous Freddy's free throws. Of course, you never want to get caught riding dirty. Fabulous Freddy's voted best in Southern Utah for car wash for a limited time. Download the new mobile app, and he might get 3 by himself. Instead, he gets the sweeping finesse gently off the glass.
Great finish there by Houston. There it is. I mean, we talked about it just a minute ago, the way he can impact the game defensively, and it leads to an easy offensive bucket for him as well.
And his length has really been a difference on the defensive end. We've seen it a couple of times, not just but stills, but also on the block as Phoenix pirouettes, makes any ballerina look proud and drops it off the glass.
Yeah, and just like that, it goes from 2 to 8. So really good effort by the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs after that Coach Fairborn timeout.
And Mountain Crest has seen enough to call a timeout, and we'll take it with them. Be back in a minute. 24-16, Crimson Cliffs over.
Hey, it's Luke with Udine Associates at American Family Insurance. At Udine Associates, we love insurance so you don't have to. With a quick call, we can get you an instant quote with the right coverages. My team of licensed agents are ready to help you with better insurance from American Family. Give us a call at 435-251-9102.
Fabulous Freddy's is the locals' choice for a full-service car wash. It's fast. Have your car washed in just 20 minutes or less. Fabulous Freddy's always keeps it clean inside and out with 2 Southern Utah locations as well as in Vegas, Lehigh, and Sandy.
And we are back in the field house on the campus of Crimson Cliffs, where the home team leads 24-16 in the first round of the 4A state playoffs, right here on the Fan Sports Network, where we have a smorgasbord of games tonight. Grab your popcorn, grab your favorite soda. In fact, you can get it from Rally Stop if you'd like. We got some great local sponsors that make it possible.
I love this by Coach Fairborn, coming out in a full court press after the timeout.
I always love that kind of thing after a timeout, where you figure they're going to drop something, and if it's a great coach, he anticipates something. If not, you can catch them by surprise.
And I don't know if it's ever too early to talk about the Bows' crucial part of the game. But if I'm Mountain Crest, it's now. I mean, we're down 8. We kept it close through about the middle of the second quarter. I think we've got to dial in offensively, because this 8-point lead could balloon to 15-20 in the next 3 minutes if we're not careful.
I think you're right, and it looked like they had a little bit of a backdoor kind of loop around lob to Pugmire, and if they don't get it to him, they swing it to that guy and they look inside. He was posting up, and then that long 3 goes up. Probably not what they drew up.
Yeah,
but
it's,
you know, we're talking about 16, 17-year-old kids. It never goes according to plan.
Yeah, there's not a bad shot out there.
And on cue, just kidding. And this is one of the things that we've seen all season long from Crimson. Offensive rebounding.
2 or 3.
Jordan Eaton says, let me get in the action.
And that is the best time, and you hear it all the time, NBA, college. Some of the best 3-point shooters capitalize off those kickouts from offensive rebounds, and right there, Steele Barber did a great job kicking out to Jordan Eaton for that wide open 3, and the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs are going to stay with this pressure and try to bull this one wide open before halftime.
And on the offensive glass again, Houston Johnson. Where if, you know, as a coach, you're probably like, this is what you can do every game. And if they're going to win a state championship or even make a run, they're going to need a guy like that, right, Coach?
Yeah, and you hear it all the time, kind of the cliche saying of defense travels. It's so true. I mean, none of these guys have ever played in the spectrum. It's going to be tough, at least in the first game, to get your bearings straight in there. But this Mustangs defense, this Crimson Mustang defense, is smothering. And if they can take that to Logan, if they survive tonight, it's going to bid well for them.
Yeah. And speaking of offensive rebounding, long 3 missed there, finished up and in. And I think was that Pugmire again?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was. He's done a really good job of that tonight. Ooh, a little double dribble by Scoop Johnson there.
And as my record shows, that is turnover number 5 for the Mustangs.
Yeah, and that was just a tough one. Steele Barber zigged when Scoop thought he was going to zag and just put the ball down on the ground a little early.
The old zigzag.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, even maybe over in the mornings, from what I understand. The net's on fire. Again, more of that full court pressure by Crimson Cliffs. And it looks like they'll break that with a little bit of momentum. Passes up the open shot, gets the inside look.
Great job by Nethercoat right there.
Nethercoat with another one, and he's got 5, almost halfway to his season average of just under 12.
And you mentioned earlier, he's a good offensive player. I mean, we saw him hit the 3. That was a strong drive. I think if I'm Mountain Crest, I'm trying to get Oliver involved in this game as often as I can.
And another offensive rebound. And this is, Coach, I'd love your take on this. As we'll see the replay here, I think it's going to confirm what the ref called as Phoenix comes in there. This is what I'd like to see. Jump stop.
Yeah, you can't put a premium on a jump stop. Phoenix is trying to make the right play.
It's a great pass, and he's a great passer.
Yeah, and it's just that not being able to stop my motion, and so many coaches teach, hey, if that guy's coming downhill, you stand there and take it. He's not going to jump stop.
Yep, and again,
there's Houston.
Houston with the length making a difference, and turnover number 6. One-handed and not a jump stop as Houston gets back into the mix. He says, I'm going to get it back for us, don't worry. But I think that's one where I've seen a lot of the games this year, and you almost go, well, if you could just back it out.
Yeah.
And he's got good court vision, but sometimes you just like to see recognizing time and score.
Yeah. And there's Netherco a little off on the 3, but there's Pugmire again doing work on the glass. And 2 offensive rebounds for Mountain Crest in that possession.
Don't see that a lot against Crimson. They tend to bring every one of those boards down. But the big fella, Caden Hess, kind of looks like a similar build of Houston, maybe even an inch taller.
Yeah, they're battling down there on the block and then on the offensive glass.
Great crossover there by Rigdon Anderson. Layup just a little bit off, and Houston Johnson, who early has had basically a say in most of the successful plays for Crimson.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably close to his season average here in the first half on layups and dunks.
He's got 8 early in the game. Looks like they're trying to spread it out. Jordan Eaton with the drive, left hand finish. Jay Sweeten with the offensive rebound. Could have called it, but I'll tell you what, I'm with you again. I like it when the refs let him play. And with 10 seconds left in the first half, Mountain Crest will most certainly get the last second shot.
Oh, there's Hess on the offensive glass.
And it will be off. We'll head into the break. 27-20 for the home team, Crimson Cliffs. And we will head to the Rally Stop halftime show, and we'll do that in 2 minutes. We'll be right back.
Got a project at work or around the house? Well, think Bucks Ace Hardware. Think Bucks for all the top brands like DeWalt, Milwaukee, and Stihl. Plus, Bucks has the best sporting goods department. You've got to see their gun department. It's stocked with a great selection of guns and ammo and accessories. 2 locations at the Dino Crossing in St. George or State Street in Hurricane.
As a local business owner, it's important to get the word out about your business. More people equals more revenue for you. Get your business in front of over 160,000 people in southern Utah each week with St. George News. Contact St. George News today.
I'm Bo Bradshaw, owner of Bo's Auto Parts. I want to watch the game as well, so I'll make this quick. When you come into Bo's Auto Parts, our store mission is simple. Supply our customers with the best auto parts and the best customer service we can provide. Come on by and see if we can deliver.
First Ace Hardware is conveniently located in St. George on the corner of Bluff Street and St. George Boulevard with 30,000 square feet of lawn and garden, paint, tools, fabrics, sporting goods, and the most complete nut and bolt section in town. First General Store, the Big Ace store on Bluff and on Main in Cedar City.
We are Utah's financial outfitter, and we're here when it's time for your business to climb higher. Cache Valley Bank, mountains await. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This cheesesteak is so freshly grilled, you can still hear it sizzling.
I can hear it too.
Me too.
Actually, it's the
Cheesesteak?
grill.
Grilled right in front of you. It's a Jersey Mike's thing.
Need an appliance or two? AWP's got you. Check out the remodeled expansive showroom, highlighting the cafe series with colors like matte black, matte white, and modern glass. Make your kitchen stand out. Come see the local boys at AWP across the freeway from the Bloomington Walmart.
And we are back in the field house of Crimson Cliffs on the Fan Sports Network. Ben Lindquist here with the coach, Casey Winters. And Coach, I mean, you know, it's 27-20 first half. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought Crimson, and we mentioned it in the pregame, their defense has created a lot offensively, and I think that's their recipe. I mean, let your defense open up some opportunities offensively. And if I'm Mountain Crest, I'm actually happy where I'm at. You know, we talked about it when he called that timeout. It was an 8-point game. Crimson came out in that full court pressure, and they ended up getting a point back. Now they're only down 7 at halftime. That very easily could have swung the other way and been a 12, 15-point game. So good job by the Mountain Crest Mustangs by closing out the half well. But I still think we haven't seen both teams or either team shoot it really well yet. Lots of turnovers, garbage points on the glass. I think for as physical as both these teams are, that may be the way this game ends up going. But solid first half. I mean, you expect both teams' best effort, you know, with it being the playoffs. And I think we saw some really good things. We mentioned Houston a lot in the first half. I thought he was kind of the spark plug for the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs there, doing it on both ends, changing shots, rebounds, and then running the floor in transition.
And of course, gotta love the in-game and halftime analysis of the coach, Casey Winters. All part of the Rally Stop halftime show. Welcome to Rally Stop. I'll tell you what, get that 44-ounce drink, get everything you need. Of course, Rally Stop always reminds you to make sure and support your favorite team. There is no better place to refuel than Rally Stop. So come in, grab some gas, get that 44-ounce Diet Mountain Dew, as Coach likes to drink, something to eat. They've got it all for post-game, halftime, pre-game, wherever you want to go, Rally Stop will get you there. And I'll tell you what, we didn't see many free throws there in the first half, just a handful for each team. Of course, those brought to you by our good friends over at Fabulous Freddy's. And any early candidates? I know we've got our 2 dunks, so if you're just picking up the action, you can text House of Jump at 833-644-2423. Just text the keyword dunk, and you'll get 1 hour of free jump at the House of Jump. So you said 3, they got 2.
Yeah, I still like the
3. Gonna stick to his over.
You know, I called one for Sean, one for Phoenix, one for Houston. All 3 of them might be from Houston, the way he's attacking the rim there in transition. We almost thought he was going to have that 3rd one and ended up finishing with a nice layup. I think we'll get it, and who knows, maybe the Mountain Crest guy might surprise us. We didn't see warm-ups before the refs came out, so maybe a couple of those guys can rattle the rim as well.
Okay, all right, I like it. Again, it's 5 minutes left here at halftime before both teams will take the floor. You're here at the Rally Stop halftime show. Special thanks to Dusty Allen in the production truck, and of course CC back in the studios getting us updated on all the games. And speaking of all the games, Coach, we've got a couple of updates. Looks like at halftime, Snow Canyon up 21-9.
Yeah, over Green Canyon. Which I expected. I mean, you look at the Cache Valley region, and Mountain Crest and Green Canyon were kind of the bottom there. So I think Snow Canyon's hungry. I mean, they were kind of gifted a share of the region title. They earned it, but you know, they came down to that last game, and so I think their confidence is high, and they're looking to make a push. I think a lot of people counted them out when a couple of their players moved away this summer, but if you have Owen Mackey on your team, you can't be counted out, and so you know, I know I just actually saw today that Will Warner and Owen Mackey's grandmother passed away, so they're doing a special pink night over there. So I mean, that Snow Canyon fan base is amazing, and expect they're playing a little harder for grandma tonight.
You know what? I love that, and you brought up something I wanted to ask you about, which is, I don't know if you saw a clip or saw some of the telecast on Friday night against Dixie for Crimson Cliffs, as late in the game, the manager, who I believe you had he worked under your...
Yeah, Ethan's my guy. I mean, he was with me for 3 years, from a freshman all the way through, and Coach Fairborn explained it perfectly. I mean, he's the heartbeat of this program, and he does all the dirty stuff. And I mean, really, by last year, he was almost like an assistant coach. And so I actually wasn't here. I was listening to your guys' broadcast and kind of watching it on my way to Phoenix on Friday night, and I was tearing up, you know, seeing that moment and getting the chills. And you see those moments all the time on SportsCenter, but that one definitely hit right in the middle of the heart. Knowing Ethan and all he's done for this program, to let him have that moment was awesome by Coach Roberts and especially Coach Fairborn.
And I loved it. Like, being able to do that game. You know, I've watched a ton of high school basketball. I've played a ton of high school basketball. That's probably one of the few moments where I got chills. Look, you know, you see those on Instagram. You see them across the country where they put someone in towards the end of the season, and both teams kind of clear the way. This was a little bit different. It was pretty cool. He comes right in. They give him a 3 in the corner. He airballs it, and I'm like, oh, man. I thought this was good. And then he comes down, and he posts him up on the block, jump hook, and gets the bucket. And what I loved about it is he just, like, some kids might have gotten discouraged. Some kids might have thought, oh, man, I airballed it. I'm embarrassed. But he just comes down and gets right back on the horse, scoops it up, and gets his bucket. And you can just see how much it meant to the kids on the bench and the student section.
And I think if you asked any player on Crimson what Ethan means to their team, he would say he's just as valuable as any player on the team. And so for him to have that moment in the student section going crazy and Devin having him on the radio, that's something Ethan's never going to forget. And like I said, I think for all of us, it reminded us it's more important than the wins and losses. Like, that was an opportunity for a kid to have a special moment that he's going to remember for the rest of his life.
I love it. And really, that's what, at this level, you know, we've got all these teams in Region 10 have some great players, but the amount of guys that will go on it's just the law of averages, right? The people that will go on and play at any Division 2, 3, or 1, or NAIA, all that stuff, it's just, this is what it's about, is developing young men and women and helping them figure out what they're going to do after high school. That's what I love about high school sports.
Yep, and for these guys to be able to look back in 10, 15 years and remember the time Ethan scored a bucket or Houston had a dunk in the playoff game against Mountain Crest, you know, these are the moments that you'll remember. And, you know, and a lot of times your teams that do the best are the teams that are the closest knit off the court as well. That's, I mean, Dixie's a great example of that. Skyview's a great example of that up in Cache Valley. I mean, these guys play for each other. They play hard, and you know, they put the success of the team over their own individual endeavors.
Well, that wraps up the Rally Stop halftime show. Houston Johnson, the leading scorer for the Crimson Cliffs, and with 6, I've got Hunter Pugmire leading the Mustangs of Mountain Crest, followed closely behind their leading scorer, Oliver Nethercott.
Okay. Sorry, Oliver.
I think I got that right.
Yeah.
I think I got that right. We'll head to the third quarter of second half action. 27-20 for the home team, and it looks like a design play to get the ball inside to Phoenix McWillis. Jump shot, turn around, soft touch, and Phoenix, it looks like right out of halftime.
I think that's his fourth point of the game, second bucket. And the thing I love right there, and we mentioned in the pregame, is there's an advantage somewhere. Whether it's Jordan, Phoenix, or Houston, find that advantage and let's get some easy buckets at the rim to start the second half.
And that one, this is one of those ones, if you're looking at home, I've always tried to tell kids, go with that inside hand. It's not only quicker, but it'll make sure that you don't run into the guy as well.
One of the toughest things to teach, and once a kid can do it, you know, they realize how easy it is. But yeah, definitely reached with the wrong hand right there.
Ray Robbins drives inside, kicks over to Oliver Nethercott, and he's going to probably, yeah, he's looking inside to the big fella, Caden Hess, who had a solid first half as well with a couple buckets and some big rebounds, and Phoenix will get called for his second.
And I think that's his third, actually.
Is that his third? Okay.
I think he picked up his second. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he picked up his second on that block. Yeah, so that is his third.
And so Coach Fairborn is pointing over to him, yeah, you've got 3.
And that's another one where Phoenix was in great position. He was between his guy and the basket. He just got a little greedy. He wanted to steal right there.
And we've got Nethercott to drive in there, and Houston Johnson with a head of steam. Euro step.
Euro, okay, Houston.
Finger roll.
That was smooth. A nice footwork, little Euro there. And, I mean, Houston's done some damage in transition tonight.
He's got a third of their points right now, and he looks so graceful in the open court.
Great work by Hess right there on the offensive glass to get a bucket there in the paint for the Mount Crest Mustangs.
Hess will pick up his 4th point of the game, and he's got a good size frame and looks comfortable in the paint. Certainly, as Scoop Johnson will pull it outside. Coach Fairborn will line him up. And 31-22 with just over 6 minutes in the third is a bad pass, but it looks like there was a reason. It looked like they had held Houston Johnson. As Jordan looks over and says, I know what I'm doing, Coach. He fouled him. I would have never thrown that pass. Scoop Johnson will take it out underneath on the baseline out of bounds. Inside to Jordan Eaton. Got right to his sweet spot. That's usually one he'll fire up.
Yeah, I think he bobbled it a little bit.
Phoenix will swing left to right. And it looks like a reach there by
both teams are fouled a little bit early. I don't think we hit the bonus in the first half, but it's looking like we may see a few more free throws here in the second half.
Johnson going to get in this one again, almost gets the potential and one. His size, it's funny. We've called a lot of their games. Of course, you've coached Houston. And we both know his dad, Britton Johnson, probably a Hall of Famer for the University of Utah.
Absolutely.
If he's not in there already. But Houston's been one of those guys that one game he looks like his dad, the next game, whether it's the flow of the game or someone else steps
foul
up.
trouble or something.
But certainly tonight, when he gets engaged and he gets locked in, although he misses the 2 free throws, everywhere else on the court, he's been dynamic tonight.
He has. And I think if I'm Coach Fairborn, I mean, this is the Houston I want to see for this next week, right? And maybe Houston is feeling a little bit, being a senior and knowing this could be the end.
Starts to set in.
Yeah, he's going to lay it all out there on the line, and it's good to see him coming out of his shell and leading this Mustang group tonight.
And speaking of those Mustangs, we've got a battle between 2 Mustangs, Crimson Cliffs and Mountain Crest, and great pass there by Nethercott, and they're going to call a shuffle to step. Yeah. He found the ball right as he made his turn. And
great recovery by Steele Barbin there to alter that shot.
And we've got a 31-22 with just over 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Coach Fairborn will slow them down. They'll go to their high post action, a duck into Phoenix McWillis, who has a size advantage, looks for maybe a foul, gets a tip out to, and I'll tell you what, a little sloppy.
I think the initial action was really, really good. That lob pass over the, and that's number 4 on Phoenix McWillis right there, a bump on the drive.
And this won't take long to go to the bench for Jay Sweden.
No, I mean, with 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, you have to. But Jace will come in, he'll bring a lot of energy, he'll rebound, clean up the offensive glass. But I really like what Phoenix was doing on the offensive end. They're posting up hard and taking advantage of his size on number 5 for the Mountain Crest Mustangs, Ray Robbins.
And as we go to the Fabulous Freddy's free throw line, we've got Ray Robbins here.
Hit the first.
His first one will be good. Try to convert his 6th point of the game. Off softly, but just a little too firm. He'll pick up his 5th point of the game. Crimson up 31-23. Are you surprised that Coach Fairborn left Phoenix in, or is that one of those coach-player looks that you go, hey, look, you got 3, understand you can't pick up your 4th?
Yeah, it's tough, and I think you almost take that by game basis. And I mean, when he picked up his 3rd one real early, maybe I pull him out for a second, but you know.
Check out this week's edition of TGIF on stgeorgenews.com.
Now Phoenix is going to have to sit for a minute, but I'd expect him to get back in and maybe start the 4th quarter and see how long he can go with 4 fouls.
And after a first half of not seeing a lot of free throws, we're making early trips there right out of the gate for both teams as Crimson picks up their 4th team foul and Mountain Crest has 3. And Nethercott will add to his total and make it 6 of his game points, and that will tie the 7. Well, 7 will give him the game high for Mountain Crest and 5 off of his season average. And kind of a sloppy start a little bit.
You know, Crimson Cliffs came out and got started real early, you know, with a couple buckets, and they've had that opportunity a couple times in the 2nd quarter, now in the 3rd, to maybe blow it wide open, and they haven't yet, but still plenty of time.
As you can see there, Jay Sweden gets that board and gets his own miss. And clearly, by the help of our great camera operators, is fouled there on the return, and he'll make the 1st. Haven't seen him at the foul line a lot.
Yeah, that one looked good. That was right down the middle. Tickled the twine.
And his 2nd will be up. He'll make them both for the junior, who also, I believe, got a couple offers for football.
Yeah, amazing corner safety for the runner-up Mustangs here in football, and expect him to do big things next year. Good hands right there on the steal. Great hustle on the sideline. On the floor, love Jace's effort.
And he's not afraid to mix it up.
No.
And Jordan Eaton shows off the crossover around the back move. Probably taught to him by the coach, Casey Winters.
Yeah, we didn't work on those too often.
And
there's Jace again on the offensive glass. There's Jordan with another offensive board. Ooh, tough one there.
A little bit of a detour from the first half where they moved the ball a lot better. It looks a little bit maybe like it's forced perhaps in the second half.
Yeah, forcing some tough shots, but they're still getting to the offensive glass. They just got to convert a few of those rebounds that they're getting.
Mountain Crest with the ball, down 8 to Crimson Cliffs as a 3 goes up. It looked good all the way. And it looks like Jay Sweeten is going to pick up the offensive or the defensive foul there on a hold. And Ray Robbins has got his hands on his jersey saying, come on, buddy, you know you got me.
And this is, I mean, we're 3.5 minutes left in the third, approaching the bonus. If I'm Crimson Cliffs, the one thing I don't want to do is give these other Mustangs a chance to score with the clock stopped, you know, from the free throw line.
And a 3 right here. Oh, looked good, looked good.
A little strong from
Great rotation. Scoop in the open court, a little bit of a yo-yo dribble, cuts into the middle. Left hand, oh, no, little scoop.
Good finish right there by Scoop.
Speaking of Scoop, yeah, the Scoop layup
changing
there.
His pace. Nice little right-hand finish on the left side of the basket.
And he generally likes to finish with his left hand. I think another thing you probably taught him is that being able to go with both hands.
Yeah, a couple tough shots right there for the Mountain Crest Mustangs.
And good. Still Barbin up with the 3. Jordan with the try.
And there's Houston
Johnson
right there cleaning up the mess.
That will give another timeout to Mountain Crest. We'll take it with them right here on the Fan Sports Network. 37-25 for the home team.
Check out this week's edition of TGIF on stgeorgenews.com. TGIF is your weekend adventure guide to all the fun and exciting things going on in Southern Utah this weekend. Find this week's edition at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab. Have a blast this weekend.
Region 10 Sports is brought to you by Nets on Fire, the premier training and event facility in Southern Utah. High-level individual and group training catered to your athlete, plus the best camps, clinics, tournaments, and showcases in the West. Visit netsonfire.org.
And we are back after a brief timeout. It is 37-25 for the home team, Crimson Cliffs. And we've got a good one so far. I feel like we've got everything we were looking for. We got some dunks. We got a couple of threes. My hope is we don't see a lot from the foul line, as we've got 5 and 14 fouls early midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, and this is Crimson Cliffs coming out in pressure again, up 12. I think they're going to press pretty hard at the end of this third quarter to extend this lead.
I like this one, especially with Sean Phelps in there, who I was just going to say.
We got an alley-oop
this
coming.
This is going to be a lob to the big. Still Barbin says, I know how to throw a pass or two.
Okay, Sean Phelps.
Just like that, we've got our over-under called by none other than the coach.
And there's Sean Phelps with the block. And here we go. Crimson Cliffs is off to the races. Ooh, tough
and
one
that's
right
the one that I've talked about.
Yeah,
Casey.
jump
It's
stop.
just come to a jump stop and maybe a little scoop or a bounce pass. And I'll tell you what, 3 dunks. The coach called it. He might be off a little bit as
great drive
Ray
right there by Ray
drives
Robbins.
in there and
stopped the bleeding a little bit for the Mountain Crest
Mustangs.
Mustangs.
A great job there. I'll tell you what, you kind of called it all out. We got Sean Phelps with the alley-oop hammer dunk by Still Barbin, who of course was the region MVP as a quarterback. He certainly knows how to throw that pass. And it's funny what that'll do to the crowd. Suddenly the crowd's a little more into it.
Oh yeah, the benches. I mean, obviously Sean. I mean, that was a nice one. He had a defender right there as well, and he just kind of rose up above him and made him pay.
Outside shot by Jordan Eaton there for 3. And would you, if you're your coach here, would you like to see a little more of the inside presence as Nethercott misses what he knows was one of the easiest ones he'll get all night?
Yeah, but I like that from Mountain Crest. I mean, they had a couple bad possessions where they shot some untimely threes. Now they're attacking the rim. Let's get back to scoring some layups and attacking the offensive glass.
And it looks like Mountain Crest, speaking of some full court pressure, they tried to pick them up there a little bit, maybe some 3-quarter court. High post over to Phelps for the ball screen, looking back to him again. and still says, I want that one back.
I don't
That's
know.
like the one over the middle to the safety into double coverage.
Yeah, I don't know if Sean's had some pretty amazing catches. I don't know if that one was in his wheelhouse.
I always just like to say to a guy who threw a lob like that, it's like, you're not throwing it to Vince Carter.
Exactly.
Giannis is not out there to catch those, but I'll live with that turnover as a coach, right? Because
it's
trying
the
to
right
make
play.
the right play.
It's the right play. And that little two-man game on the wing has been money for Crimson all year long. Just puts the help defense in such a tough spot.
And Ray Robbins with that offensive rebound putback, and that's 9 for him.
Yeah, Ray's played great. He's playing hard. I'm not sure. Let's see, Ray's a senior, so this is his last tournament. So he's not wanting to leave St. George with the season being over.
Great pass to Sean Felds, turnaround jumper. That's his sweet spot.
There it is.
And I was a little surprised that after that Phoenix McWillis play that Coach Fairborn didn't go with Sean there.
Yeah.
Just because of the way he's finished the season and his impact off the bench. You can see his length.
Yep.
He's certainly made an impact, and probably going to see a lot more of him as they finish the game here. This is one where you can see Coach Fairborn says, okay, let's get a reset here. We're up 12. Let's get one shot. The shot clock's off. What are you looking for here? Something inside?
Yeah, it looks like they get a little X action here, a little scissors action. Get Jordan for 3 short, but Scoop with the offensive board. Couldn't get a shot off.
I'm actually okay with that too.
Yeah.
He did not have a shot, even if the shot clock runs out. I think getting it out is better than just a bad shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, we'll head to the fourth quarter. We'll take a quick break right here on the Fan Sports Network. 41-29, the home team Crimson Cliffs over Mountain Crest.
Did you know that St. George News has a new app? Download the St. George News app today and stay up to date on everything happening in Southern Utah. Get instant notifications on news, weather, sports, and more. Download the app today and get your local news now.
Hey, it's Sheldon Demke. Check out the latest episode of What's on the Menu, a behind-the-scenes tour of local restaurants. We'll see some of their favorite dishes and get an inside look on how these dishes are prepared. Check out this week's episode at stgeorgenews.com and click the shows on the menu tab.
Adams Wealth Advisory is a financial planning firm that is combined with an investment firm to provide the best possible outcomes for our clients.
I always believe if you're intentional with your financial plan, things are going to work out really well for you.
Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, high school basketball fans, to the first round matchup between Crimson Cliffs and the Mustangs of Mountain Crest as well. We've got a good one here. It's a 12-point lead for Crimson, but it's been back and forth, and Crimson comes out in that third quarter, excuse me, and kind of gets a little bit of separation.
Yeah, they pick up 5, won that quarter by 5, and I think if I'm Coach Fairborn here, it's like, let's just take care of the ball, don't foul, and let's get good quality offensive possessions. If I'm Mountain Crest, we got to press a little bit, right? We got to attack. We got to get some offensive rebounds, and we've got to try to ramp up the pressure defensively to cut into this lead.
And speaking of lead, let's go to the Nets on Fire scoreboard, where we've got a Snow Canyon lead, 23-12. Owen Mackey with 13 points. Certainly a candidate for All-State and Region MVP, as we see the long three-pointer there and the offensive rebound by Sean Feltz. Another score around the region on the ladies' side. Dixie wins final 49-27 over there in the hangar, as Crimson Cliffs will look to add to that lead. Houston Johnson over to Sean Feltz, mid-range jumper.
There it is. 3 for 3 for Sean. And couple block, well, 4 for 4 if you count the dunk. So I think that's 8 points for Sean. And 6 of them have been right here in the second half as he came in off the bench in the third quarter.
And a great job. Certainly a guy you're going to need if you're able to advance to the state tournament, just because of his size and what he's able to do offensively and defensively.
Yeah, and I think
on cue.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing, not to look too far ahead, and I know we'll get to it in the post game, but if Snow Canyon ends up winning and Crimson ends up winning, it's going to be a Region 10 matchup up in Logan of 2 teams that split the season series.
Yeah, that'll be a good one there.
Looks like we got an injury down there on.
Now this, I don't know the rule on this, Casey. When you have the ball Can the officials stop play there?
Yeah, I think. I mean, the last few years,
I like it because the kid is
safety.
down and he's hurt.
Yeah, and usually if you don't have a clear advantage, they'll slow it down. And I think, you know, when you're up 16 points, it's a good time to stop it and make sure the player's okay. And that's Ray Robbins. Good to see him walking off. He's played. He's
their leading scorer with 9. You hate to see that guy limp off.
Maybe just tweaked his ankle. Looks like he's hobbling just a little bit. Hopefully he can get back in here.
He appears to be headed to the locker room, which means, you know, sometimes you've seen those guys with ankle sprains. They need to go and get it re-taped or something like that. Okay, we're back, and Houston Johnson will take it in. We got a couple of subs into the game in Trevor Taylor, Jordan Eaton, Houston Johnson, and Scoop Johnson. Sean Feltz is the big fella. Surprised he didn't shoot that. He hasn't missed yet.
And Crimson's got a lot of mileage out of that cross screen action. And I love the action with the two bigs. You got one that cross screens for the other. One will post up, one will flash high. And you're just trying to get that advantage. And we mentioned earlier, Houston just lowering his shoulder a little bit and getting to the free throw line, being aggressive offensively.
Yeah, and as you watch on the replay here by Walt, great job of Houston. I love the square up of a big guy. It's almost like, you know, you don't see it enough anymore. You got a foot in the paint, square up, and see if you can operate. And of course, by my count, that's 4 missed free throws for Houston.
All short. Houston needs to just bank one in here. And get it long. I mean,
and he shot free throws pretty well. He's got a good release, little out in front. I like it. That one.
There you go. At least that one was long. Gave it a chance.
And another offensive rebound. This is most likely, it just felt like it was going to go in. Jordan's kind of made those offensive rebound trailing threes all season. Mountain Crest will come down 16. Would this be our Bose Auto Parts crucial part of the game, Coach?
Yeah, I think it has to be with 5 minutes left. Mountain Crest does not have any more time to waste. They've got to make a run right here and try to cut into this Crimson Cliff Mustang lead.
Yep, and his offensive foul called there on Rigdon Anderson. And again, the hardest call, block charge.
Yeah, and he's driving hard, maybe extended the forearm a little bit.
Here's that block to block that you're talking about into the high post action. And Houston's going to operate. This looks good to me, and you can just kind of tell when it comes out of his hand, the rotation and the release.
Yeah, that one looked good.
And that'll be 14. The Crimson Cliffs leading scorer, Houston Johnson, the senior. And he'll get the rebound, and I tell you what, he gets it out pretty good to Jordan Eaton. Follows the ball.
And an offensive foul there on Jordan. Maybe just trying to do a little bit too much.
Coach, and we'll get the chance to look at the instant replay here. You can kind of see, is this one of those things where late in the season, where teams are scouting and they just know, hey, look, just stay in there and you can probably draw that.
Yeah, don't leave your feet. Jordan's physical. He's always looking for contact, and maybe you can get a couple cheap fouls on him, by taking a charge here or there.
Yep. Okay, well, we will take the timeout with them as Mountain Crest says, all right, this might be a good one to try and stall this momentum and not let the Mustangs of Crimson Cliffs run away right here on the Fan Sports Network. We'll take the timeout with them, and we'll be back for more fourth quarter action in the field house.
Asphalt. It's not something we think about much, except when it's in bad shape. At Holbrook Asphalt, we help cities, HOAs, and businesses avoid replacing painfully expensive roads and parking lots. To avoid the cost of replacing asphalt, you must effectively preserve it while it's still in good condition. University research has shown Holbrook Asphalt's HA5 slows asphalt aging by 67%. We make your pavement assets last longer, cost less to own, all while achieving higher property values. Visit holbrookasphalt.com to discover more.
We are back after a called timeout by Mountain Crest. 47-29 for the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs. And we will have, just under 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. And Coach, right now, you can see Crimson put some full court pressure on, but what do you do if you're Mountain Crest right now to try and cut into this with only 5 minutes left?
Yeah, I think you got to attack, try to get to the free throw line. Make Crimson Cliffs overhelp, kick out to wide open shooters, but you got to play quick. And that doesn't mean you're playing out of control. It just means we're going to attack, and we're just going to keep the pressure on the Crimson Cliff defense as much as we can. But we can't afford to take each possession down to the 10-second mark of the shot clock.
Yeah, got to get some points, right? And probably got to get some stops, if not turnovers.
Yep.
One good side is I do see Ray Robbins has made his trek back out onto the bench from the locker room as a three goes up there by a new guy we haven't seen, Joseph Hunsaker, off of the bench. And the rebound corralled by Crimson Cliffs, up 18 with just over 4 minutes. Scoop Johnson penetrates, lobs it up to the big fella, and he finally misses, but not before he catches the rebound and makes the next one. And Sean Feltz, second leading scorer with 10 points, Coach.
Yeah, and I think tonight, I mean, if you look back at the game against Dixie on Friday, Crimson Cliffs was shooting the lights out, you know, and I think tonight they maybe have 2 or 3 threes in the entire game, but you've seen Sean Feltz, you've seen Phoenix McWillis in the post, you've seen Houston Johnson, and I think that's what makes this Crimson Cliffs team very, very dangerous moving on, is even when they're not shooting it well from three, if they got those three, that kind of triple-headed monster in the post going, it's going to be tough to stop, because there's not a team in the classification that has as much size as the Mustangs.
And as we see that foul shot go in, the Fabulous Freddy's foul shot sponsor, don't get caught riding dirty, head on over to Fabulous Freddy's, as Leiser will go ahead and try and convert the second. And it touches all of the rim off the glass and falls through, where he'll pick up his 5th point of the game.
And if I'm the Mustangs here, we're either getting layups or we're going to wind this clock down, you know, 12, 15 seconds. Looks like they're going to stall it out a little bit.
Well, I think that's a great call, and especially,
oh, I thought we were going to have another dunk there.
Yeah, especially when both teams are now in the bonus, right? You don't want to give easy buckets like this when the clock isn't moving, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, 18 points is a huge ask for the Mountain Crest Mustangs in 3 minutes and 22 seconds, but crazy things have happened, especially when you're not disciplined and you're fouling unnecessarily. Just play solid on both ends of the floor. Let's finish this last 3:22 and get ready for the quarterfinals on Thursday.
And the leading scorer for Mountain Crest on the season, Nethercott, misses that front end. Certainly wants that one back as you're trying to get back in the game.
And here's a little pressure by Mountain Crest. Let's see if it can stir up a few turnovers here.
Jordan Eaton at the top. They'll get it across. 25 on the shot clock. Haven't seen that be much of a factor except for one possession in the first half.
Yeah, and you see Coach Fairborn here saying, just pull it out. Let's drag this possession on.
Layups or foul shots.
Yeah,
right?
layups or foul shots.
He'll go with 10 seconds. And it looks like Scoop's going to take this one from here. And this looks off the glass. A little too strong by Houston Johnson, who's done little wrong tonight on even, both ends of the court.
Yeah, and even that, I mean, he shot that with 1 second. We wasted 34 seconds, which is valuable right now, just getting the clock to triple zeros.
And Nethercott will make his 9th point of the game, a few off of his average. 49-33, almost a turnover there, and Coach Fairborn saying, okay, back to what Coach Winters would suggest, which is milk that clock like a dairy farmer in Logan.
I'm actually excited to get up there and get some of that Aggie ice cream, some of that
that's right.
Cache Valley cheese. I mean, that's what they're known for.
I love the squeaky cheese up there in Cache Valley. As Scoop Johnson will scoop it in with the left hand off of the baseline. He gets into double figures. And as much as we've talked about Jordan Eaton all season, as we take a 30-second timeout, we'll take it. Actually, we'll stay in here. It's just a short one. Talk about a little bit about Jordan Eaton being the leading scorer on the season. He's only got 7. So if you're Coach Fairborn, you look down, you got Houston with 14, Sean with 10, and Scoop with 10. You got to be thrilled.
Absolutely. We know what Jordan can do, right? And so I think for him to get the contributions that he got tonight from Sean, and especially Houston and Scoop, get them some confidence headed into the next game is going to be huge. I mean, if I can have my top 6, 7 guys playing at an all-time high confidence-wise, we're feeling pretty good against anybody that we go up against.
Certainly love to see that. Speaking of who they may go up against, if Crimson does hold on to this with just 2 minutes, They might face a Snow Canyon team who's up 36-27 after 3 over in the Jungle. And another one, Desert Hills up over Cedar 47-29 on the Nets on Fire scoreboard.
Okay, I thought that one was maybe going to be a little closer. I mean, with Cedar and a little inter-region.
Yeah, Desert Hills, obviously, we know what they're capable of. Cedar plays everybody hard, especially.
Yeah, they had Dixie on the ropes last Wednesday over in the hangar. They played really, really well.
So it looks like Desert Hills will, well, you never know. That's an 18-point lead with 1 to go. The surprise to me is Snow Canyon. That's a little closer than I had anticipated. It is the 4 seed against the 13 seed.
Yeah, Green Canyon, they typically play zone. They pressure a lot. They have some shooters, so maybe they're shooting well over in the Jungle tonight.
And as we look at the Wilkinson scoreboard, 51-33 with 1.5 minutes. Jordan Eaton, gentle push.
Yep, mild arc and a splash.
That might be copyright. I doubt it. But
we probably got it wrong anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. But great shot by Jordan Eaton, who must have heard us saying, well, look, he's not quite in double figures. He gets to 10 with that 3-pointer.
There's a jumper by Pugmire. He's played well tonight for Mountain Crest.
And he's got 8 on the game. That 3-pointer, our U First Credit Union, we haven't seen many of them, as the coach talked about.
We haven't.
That's the second of the game. Jordan, I think, has both of them. And as coach talked about, Coach Fairborn certainly wants to milk this clock with 53 seconds left in the game. This looks to be all but a formality. As Scoop Johnson will hoist one up himself. And another U First 3-pointer. Scoop has 13. And it looks like we're going to see some folks off of the bench. Yeah, we will here with 57-37.
This is where maybe, do you take a quick timeout right here? No,
well, he's going to bring him back. Okay, he's going to bring him back.
Got a timeout to burn there. Burn a quick one. Get him in.
Yeah.
But it looks like the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs will advance in the first round of the 4A state playoffs and move on to play Thursday up at Utah State University.
And both teams will make that trip back, one under different circumstances in Mountain Crest as they lose 37-57. The hometown Crimson Cliffs Mustang win by 20. And we'll take a quick 2-minute break, and we will wrap it up as a part of the Johnson Pediatric post-game show and give out some awards as I get to do my first game here as a sidekick to the coach, Casey Winters. I'm Ben Lindquist, and you're listening and watching on the Fan Sports Network.
I'm Aaron Crane, host of the Region 10 Recap. Want to relive the highlights of the game? Look for the Region 10 Recap every week. Just follow St. George News on Facebook or go to stgeorgenews.com.
Create your own relaxing, comfortable space. Boulevard Home offers the guaranteed best prices on furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more. And buy with no interest financing. Shop Boulevard Home, because home is who we are.
We know it takes an entire community to make Southern Utah thrive. You will see us on the fields, on the courts, at festivals, and in the schools, and everywhere in between. From Southern Utah's Auto Mall, we help you create memories that bolster joy in our community. It's the reason why we've got it made in Southern Utah and why you've got it made at Stephen Wade.
Utah is growing, and we're growing too. What started on the U of U campus has grown to over 110,000 members with 20 locations, and we're ready to meet even more of you. More than a campus or a branch, we are Utah's teachers, businesses, and families. For over 65 years, we've been part of your community, and while our name is changing, our commitment to you is not. University Credit Union is now U First Credit Union. See why it's getting even better here. Welcome to U First.
Hey, it's Luke with Udine Associates at American Family Insurance. At Udine Associates, we love insurance so you don't have to. With a quick call, we can get you an instant quote with the right coverages. My team of licensed agents are ready to help you with better insurance from American Family. Give us a call at 435-251-9102.
Fabulous Freddy's is the locals' choice for a full-service car wash. It's fast. Have your car washed in just 20 minutes or less. Fabulous Freddy's always keeps it clean inside and out with 2 Southern Utah locations as well as in Vegas, Lehigh, and Sandy.
Back at the field house at Crimson Cliffs High School as the home team and the number 5 seed Crimson pulls off the 20-point victory over the visitors from Logan and Mountain Crest, 57-37. And we will get to our Johnson Pediatric post-game show. We'll give out some awards. We'll look ahead a little bit. But let's go to the Nets on Fire scoreboard, the Region 10 scoreboard real quick, as it looks like Cedar has roared back, as I made that early claim that 18 points might be too many. It's now 56-51. with a minute 17 left in the fourth quarter, so they're getting back into that game. And then at Snow Canyon, they're still up on Green Canyon, and that would be the team that, of course, Crimson Cliffs would match up with bright and early on Thursday at 9:30 a.m.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, my goodness.
But if you think about, and I love the state tournament and this matchup for this reason, first time these two teams played, Phoenix McWillis was sick. The second time, Owen Mackey was out with an ankle injury. Now, when all the chips are on the table, both teams are at full strength for the most part, and best of three, right? We're going to see who the better team is and who advances, presumably to play Skyview, depending on what happens on Thursday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's shaping up, you know, the way that it should be. I mean, that's an amazing 4 or 5 seed matchup. And anyone on that side of the bracket should be terrified of either Snow Canyon or Crimson Cliffs. And I know Coach Fairborn has the utmost respect for Coach Meacham, and Coach Meacham the same for this Crimson Cliffs program. So it's going to be interesting to start the tournament off with that game at 9:30 in the morning and hopefully set the tone for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's just one of those matchups that you hate to see either of those teams one of those teams have to leave after the first day.
And that's where you kind of question the RPI a little bit. I know Crimson jumped up big after that win over Dixie, but I still don't think that they're a 5 seed. I mean, that's where you look at some of the seeding and you're like, all right, what's really going on here?
Well, and maybe we're getting a little too far ahead of ourselves as we get the Nets on Fire scoring updated. Is now 45-41. Snow Canyon up with just 2 minutes left.
Yeah,
my goodness.
And maybe you talk, and we talked about in the pregame, crazy things happen when your season's on the line and someone hits shots or bad turnovers or fouls. So yeah, going to be interesting to keep an eye on that Snow Canyon score and the Desert Hill score as they finish up.
Of course, you can catch both of those games on the fansportsnetwork.com. And as we head into the Johnson Pediatric post-game show, see why so many parents choose Johnson's for their kids' dental needs. Call for the new patient special, 656-0511. And let's get into a little bit of a recap here. So you've got Houston Johnson leads the Mustangs of Crimson Cliffs with 14. Sean Phelps with 10. Jordan Eat with 10. Scoop Johnson with 13. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players for Crimson Cliffs scored there. And I think that's probably the second highest that they had all season.
Yeah, and I think that's what you want, though. You want to have some versatility. You want to have some balance. You definitely don't want to head into the state tournament relying on a Jordan Eaton to score 25. There's been enough games played. There's enough film out there that every coach in the state knows if we're going to beat Crimson Cliffs, we've got to slow down Jordan Eaton. And so to see some of these other guys step up and have a good game just makes them that much more dangerous. And so it was a little sloppy at times tonight for both teams, but I thought the advantage that the Crimson Cliffs team had size-wise, Coach Fairborn did a phenomenal job exploiting that and getting Sean and Houston involved early and making them carry the weight tonight.
Well, their size, just the difference really when they were, and really when you think about that size, Houston Johnson with the steals, the blocks, the low post defense into transition for a couple of those early dunks. And then Sean Phelps comes in right on cue, gets a steal in the press, gets a couple of blocks.
Gets a lob.
He goes down, gets the dunk. Those two, kind of the twin towers of Region 10, if you will.
Yeah, and you didn't see them play a lot together until about 5 or 6 games ago. And then Coach Fairborn's like, well, maybe we got something here, playing those two together. And then you have a Jordan playing the 3, or a Phoenix playing the 3 and Jordan playing the 2.
I like it. I like it.
That size for Crimson Cliffs is going to be what carries them deep into this tournament if they can keep using it to their advantage.
I totally agree. So let's, of course, let's go to our award winners for tonight. Jersey Mike's sub of the game. We can't always forget Jersey Mike's. I mean, every time I do one of these broadcasts, I look at my clock and I go,
yeah, I mean, that was a quick game.
I think we can go get the number 6 or 7, do it Mike's way, load on the extra sauces. And of course, they're a great sponsor. We have so many that make this possible to represent and display these great games. But let's talk about that sub of the game. Maybe Sean Phelps with 10. You got Jay Sweeten came in and played some great D, but I'll let the coach decide this one.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Sean. I mean, you mentioned it. He's probably got about 4 feet of Jersey Mike subs this season. You know, hopefully he's using those things. But man, he just changes the game. You know, I mean, just altering shots. You mentioned what a dunk does in a high school game. I mean, it changes the energy completely. And the nice thing for Coach Fairborn, if Phoenix gets in foul trouble and has to go out of the game, or Houston, you don't lose a lot bringing Sean in.
I hadn't thought about it until now. We didn't even see Phoenix really after that 4th foul, and just because of the way. And that's what's interesting. Is you look down through these scores, and you see Jordan Eaton. He finally does make it into double figures at 10. But it's interesting because Steele Barbin was the leading scorer, the hot hand against Dixie. And I think if you're any team in the 4A classification right now, you kind of look at Crimson and go, okay, we know they're going to get defense. But how do we scout them on offense, on the offensive end for who do we stop? You know, if we stop Jordan and he only gets 10, is Houston going to drop 14 on us? If we stop, you know, Houston, is Steele Barbin going to come in and get 19 or 20?
Yeah, and Phoenix is capable of putting up big numbers. Scoop Johnson scored well tonight.
And Phoenix only had 4 tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes Crimson Cliff scary is, and we saw it on Friday, when they put it all together, they're almost unbeatable when they're playing on the defensive end, and they got guys scoring the ball. They're tough. And if you're Coach Fairborn, I think the one thing you would say about this season is we just haven't had that consistently. And now if we can be consistent for 4 games counting tonight, we can make a run at it. And I believe they can.
You talked in the Finley pregame show about peaking at the right time, and certainly, you know, Dixie has had some struggles down the stretch. They're getting everyone's best. You know, everybody wants to beat Dixie this year. And then you talk about Crimson, who had a little bit of a rough patch where they lost to Desert Hills, they lose to Pineview, they lose to Dixie at Dixie, and then they come back and they get a convincing win over Dixie at home, and then they get this first round win. They'll be moving on, of course, to the Spectrum up there in Logan on Thursday. And we'll make the trip with them. We'll have all those games on the Fan Sports Network, online and on air. And we've got a great partner with Bear River Live and KSL, where we get the rights to bring those games and continue to keep you involved in high school basketball. Stats tonight, by the way, Casey, brought to you by Adams Wealth Advisors. They do such a great job of stats for financial and investment and retirement, and certainly we hope we made them proud this season. Great sponsor there. Wilkinson's House of Lighting with the scoreboard. You never forget, from bold statements to subtle compliments, Wilkinson's House of Lighting will help you fully enjoy all of the different spaces in your home. Certainly the parade of homes going on here, we felt their presence with the influx of 20 or 30,000 visitors from all around. But let's get back into a couple of the awards. We've got the Morgan Pest Control Defensive Play of the Game. Certainly a couple of blocks by Phoenix, by Sean, by Houston. What was the one defensive play that stood out?
I think it had to be one of those plays early on in the game where Houston got a dunk. I think it was the first or second play.
That's still right out of the gate, right? Second possession.
And then it led to offense. You know, he just jumped to passing lane. And I think that got the Crimson Cliffs Mustangs off to a good start. Scoring 4 easy buckets, throwing down a dunk early, and that may have, been the key for Houston, is just getting that steal, leading to an easy dunk that kind of got him going tonight.
He feeds off of that emotion for sure. Well, this might be a little bit, maybe I'm throwing you a softball here. Our AWP Playmaker Play of the Game. Can't forget AWP Appliance Wholesalers Plus. One of the nicest showrooms in Southern Utah, and more importantly, they have inventory. So if you're looking for that washer and dryer, that refrigerator, any appliance, the good folks over there, certainly an incredible sponsor all season long for us. But talk to me about the Playmaker Play of the Game. We had some great dunks. You hit it right on the head, 3. Almost maybe the psychic coach Casey Winters.
Hey, I think it's got to be the lob from Still Barban to Big Sean. Got to reward the big guy running the floor, and he put it right where Sean could do some damage with it.
Almost and one. Too.
Yeah. Pugmire was kind of underneath him. Don't know if I'd call it a poster. Quite a poster, but Big Sean did get up and finish above the rim.
And certainly that will get us our dunk of the night. Text 833-644-2423. Text the keyword dunk, and you get 1 hour of free jump from the good folks at the House of Jump. Okay, what about we got our Morgan Pest Control defensive play of the game. We've got our Playmaker Play of the Game. And let's wrap it up with what we got. We got our sub of the game, Jersey Mike's sub of the game. Crucial part of the game. Kind of felt like it was that third quarter where it looked like it was going to be kind of a back and forth foul fest, and Crimson somehow just pulled away.
Yeah, they just blew it open. I mean, I think it was this 11.7.
Yeah.
Then it crept up to 11-12, and then before we knew it, it was 18-19. And I think that's exactly what Coach Fairborn wanted to do coming out of that timeout is, win the next couple minutes, get some defensive stops, some easy buckets, and put it out of reach for Mountain Crest.
Well, let's wrap up the Johnson Pediatric post-game show with a couple of updates as we head around Region 10. Snow Canyon wins 51-42 over Green Canyon. Desert Hills, after a late charge by Cedar, pulls off that win. Eli Allred had 20 points. Lincoln Holmes was 17. And they'll win 58-54. And it looks like Snow Canyon, they pull off the 51-42 as we mentioned. And Pineview almost beats Layton Christian. They lose 63-67. Looks like a tough one there on the road.
Yeah, and I thought Pineview, they played so well the second half of Region.
They really did. They finished really strong.
I mean, if I was any coach in that bracket, Layton Christian happened to be the team. That's one team I would not want to play with. Nash Schroeder and Griffin Shepard. Was really hoping that Pineview could get up there and have that upset that we've talked about several times during the broadcast. But great job by Coach Eves and the Panthers, especially the second half of the season.
Hate to see any Region 10 team head home early, but it looks like they gave Layton Christian everything they could handle. That'll be an interesting team to watch up in the state championship this week from the Spectrum in Logan.
Yeah, we don't know a lot about them. That's the hard part is, we've seen Skyview, we've seen Ridgeline, we've seen Logan. Layton Christian's, I mean, we talked about him early on in the preseason, haven't mentioned him much since. It's going to be, they're kind of one of those dark horses that maybe you haven't watched as much film or kept an eye on as many scores, but yeah, they're moving on. So going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. We're down to 8 teams. We lose a couple Region 10 teams. Hurricanes out, Cedar's out, Pineview's out, but we're moving forward with Dixie, Crimson, Snow Canyon, Desert Hills, which all 4 are great teams. Desert Hills is a team that has shown that they can play with anybody, and so it's going to be a great showing for Region 10 on both the girls and the boys side up there at the Spectrum.
And of course, we'll have all of the girls and the boys games right here on the Fan Sports Network. We're
That
gonna be
busy
putting
weekend.
I
got to
pack the lozenges.
Some Ricola.
Yep.
You know.
Pack the honey.
Yeah.
Pack the lozenges for the throat. The big fella, Casey Winters, the coach, will be up there. Devin Dixon.
Voice rest tomorrow.
That's right. Yep. He's not going to be able to talk tomorrow. But I'll tell you what, we got a great weekend of high school basketball for the 4A state championship. Can't wait to see what happens. Certainly a great season. Want to thank all of our great sponsors all season long. These guys do such a good job of making it possible for us to showcase and highlight these young student athletes and these programs. You know, from the cheerleaders to the dancers to the student sections, the band. I think Region 10 has a couple of the best bands in all of high school basketball. And I think we've got one of the best teams too. Special thanks to Dusty Allen in the production truck and CC back in the studio.
Yeah, nobody does it like the fan.
That's right.
We're spoiled down here in Southern Utah. I said it all the time as a coach. The coverage that the high school athletes get down here, I played college basketball and didn't get the coverage that some of these athletes, I mean, the pictures, the social media, the replays, the stories. I mean, these guys are so lucky, and I think it goes without saying that the sponsors have a big part in it, the community members have a great part in it, but being able to showcase these athletes, the fan does a phenomenal job. They're definitely top notch.
Well, from the Fan Sports Network, I'm Ben Lindquist. That's the coach, Casey Winters. And we will sign off as the Crimson Cliffs, the home team, wins by 20. 57-37 over the visiting Mountain Crest Mustangs. A battle of the Mustangs. From all of us on the Fan Sports Network, we say good night. But not much ado, because we'll be right back at it Thursday morning 9:30. We'll have all the coverage online and on air on the fansportsnetwork.com. Of course, on the radio dial at 99.5 and 95.3 in Cedar City. You can catch us on 1400 and 93.1. Good night from the field house. Again, I'm Ben Lindquist. This is the coach, Casey Winters. Have a great Tuesday night. We'll see you Thursday morning from up in Cedar in the Spectrum as we find out who is the 4A state championship champion in boys and girls basketball. Good night.